Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Strategic Boardroom. It's good to see you. My name is Mark Dolfini. Today, we're going to be talking about three things business owners wish their friends and family understood about being a business owner. Man, I wish. This goes out to all of my friends and family that maybe don't get it. I will tell you this. I I have eventually found myself around a great deal of friends and family who are extremely supportive of what it is that I do. And I will tell you, I am very grateful to have to have these people in my life now because it, it, it is a struggle. It is a real struggle. And I will tell you that it has always been a bit of a struggle trying to get my friends and family to understand why I do the things that I do as a business owner. And it's not that I'm doing it to spite them. That is not the case at all. The case is that I just think a certain way as a business owner. And for those people who struggle, for those people who are in strategic boardroom, who sit in masterminds, one of the things that I have heard over and over and over again is the fact that people don't get it. Their friends, their family, their neighbors, they don't get it. They don't understand why we do what we do. And today, what I want to talk about are three main components. I'm not going to make this a super long video because if you want to be able to share this video so maybe people can understand a little bit that it's not you just trying to be difficult. That is not it at all. The best thing they can do is support you and try to understand the best way that they can in terms of why you do the things that you do. And yeah, you might be more predisposed to adding chaos into your life and making things more difficult than necessarily need to be. I get it. Ask me how I know. And you have some culpability in this too. This is not a they problem. This is also a you problem. But finding people who can really be supportive of what it is and then also coming together and understanding like, hey, I know this is important for you to get finished, but I need you to be able to wrap it up. What can I do to help you? What can I do? And you're going to say, I don't know. I don't know what you can do to help me, right? Because they're wrapped up in that moment. But there are things that you can do to help grease the skids as a business owner. So again, if you're going to share this with people who are maybe not business owners in your life and maybe to help so they can understand a little bit about you and how you think, this is what this video is really meant to be. So understanding this, if you can't really graphic, I'm going to take it down so you can read it or get myself out of the equation here for just a second. But really, just time isn't 9 to 5. It's more than money, and the responsibility never, ever, ever ends. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the first one is that time is always a battle. Always. You have to understand the emotional weight that business owners often carry is just this constant mental load. Behind the scenes, they're thinking about the business even when they appear to just be chilling out and relaxing. You're sitting there watching a movie with the family and you just know that they're 1,000 miles away. And it's not because they want to be. It's because for them, it's very difficult to just stop thinking because for them, time is always a battle. Their relationship with time is always a struggle. And even the things that people like, man, why can't you just relax? Why can't you just sit and enjoy it? Because that is not how they're wired. And if they were in a 9 to 5 job, they would be absolutely miserable. And that's where I started to recognize that just got to a point in my life where I was just unemployable. In fact, the last job I actually got fired from. And I was like, okay. I was a little bit salty about it from the walk to my office to the car is about as long as it took me to get over it. I was like, you know what, screw these people. They don't. I was much more interested in entrepreneurship while I was working there, and because I didn't bleed the company colors, I mean, I would have fired me because I was clearly building my own empire, and they knew that I didn't need them. So why not? Right? Like, you don't want someone like that in your midst, right? So you have to understand that when you're dealing with someone who is a small business owner, when they're at work, they feel guilty about not being with their family when they do, right? So when they're not like completely absorbed in their work and they're thinking about kids and baseball games and stuff that they're missing, I promise you they do feel guilty about that. Most of them do. I can't say everyone, but most business owners do. They feel guilty about not being at work or not being at home when they're at work. And when they're at work, right? So when they're at what? Let me say that again. When they're at work, they feel guilty about not being with family. But guess what? When they're with their family, they actually feel guilty about not being at work, about not providing, about not advancing, not doing the things that need to be done because there's always something more that needs to be done. So just understand that when they're sitting there ruminating about work, and this goes to also start when we talk about responsibility a little bit, especially if they have employees, that's a big deal for them because now they don't have the weight of what's on their shoulders about your own family and not spending time with your own friends. Now they've got the weight of all those other families, especially if they're providing labor for the main bread workers or for the main bread winners rather. So that's a real thing. And the other thing is, because this whole relationship with time is just so wonky, when they say they're going to be home at 6 and it's 7:45 and they still haven't called, it's not necessarily because they're being disrespectful. It's because of this discombobulated relationship with time. It's likely they found themselves neck deep in a project at work, right? They didn't probably get much done between noon and 5 because they were getting pulled in 19 different directions. And then once everybody goes home and the phone stops ringing, they actually have some open bandwidth where they can actually get some stuff done. And all of a sudden, the bank deposits that haven't been reconciled in 6 months, all of a sudden that takes top precedent. Like, oh my gosh, really? That's the thing? Hey, that's the thread I need to pull on right now. And that's what happens. Now, this is also why it's so important for business owners to have systems and processes in place so you're not continually wondering. Yes, this is where your culpability comes in. And you're like, oh, how can I afford to do this? Well, let me just say it this way. When you're doing work that you could pay someone else cheaper to do, so let's say that you're doing a job and when you're doing let's say you're a plumber and you're a plumber that can earn, say, $100 an hour doing plumbing work, and you could hire a bookkeeper for $20 an hour. Just go with me. I know it's all over the map right now, but let's just say it's $20. Let's say it's $25 an hour. Let's say it's $30 an hour. And you're a $100 an hour employee. Wouldn't it make sense to maximize your $100 an hour employee hours and not spend it on $30 an hour work? Because when you're doing $30 an hour work, guess what? You're costing yourself $70 an hour because of the way opportunity cost works. Because the time you're spending doing that $30 an hour work, that's what you're paying yourself during that period of time. That's the paradox. So as soon as you can get yourself away from those other end, that other stuff, and you can maximize your $100 an hour work and your $100 an hour labor, now it's just a math problem. Now it's, okay, how many times can I get out there? You're going to free up 4 hours for me so I can go out and do this other work? Great, let's go do this. Right? And now you can make better decisions. Right? So, but this is about, it's also, yes, I know that some of you are control enthusiasts. I get it. We're not saying control freaks. You're control enthusiasts. I understand that. But the sooner you can let that go, the more time you will have on your side. It's about having a better relationship with time and about having a better relationship and trusting other people. Now, again, this all takes systems. It takes processes, and there's a lot more ways to do it wrong than right. And sometimes people just abdicate instead of delegating. Abdicating is when you just kind of throw them to the wolves. You throw the pile. You basically walk your employee into a room, throw a box at them of papers, and shut the door and hope they don't ever call. That's abdication. That is not what we're talking about here. What I'm talking about is specific delegation where you have systems and processes already built out. So when you walk someone in, when they have been aligned with your core values and you know they're aligned with your core values because you've interviewed them properly, you haven't interviewed them only solely based on their skills. You've interviewed them based on alignment with your core values first, and then you can always teach skills later. But making sure first and foremost that they're aligned with your core values first. Now, again, there's a lot more ways to do this wrong than right, but I'm just saying now you're hiring based on alignment to core values. Because when you're hiring based on skills, it's just transactional. Oh, you have skills and I have dollars, let's make the trade. And then people wonder, business owners wonder why it's like, oh, yeah, all these people want is more money. Well, yeah, that's exactly what you hired them for. Can you blame them? You didn't hire them based on core values at all. That's your fault, not theirs. So if you don't see yourself as part of the problem, there's no way you're going to see yourself as part of the solution here. So time is always the battle for business owners. Okay, so again, when they say, hey, I'll be home at 6 and it's 7:45 and they still haven't called, again, it's not because they're being disrespectful. It's because they have found themselves neck deep in a project that they can't pull themselves away from. They don't want to lose momentum, and they have found their flow. And stopping this is unbelievably difficult. Think of, if you don't understand this, all right, think of being in the middle of a movie that you're really into. You're watching this movie and you don't even know how long you've been in the theater, but you're watching this movie and you're completely absorbed. It's the same as you getting to the good parts of the movie and you're lost in it. You've lost all concept of time. And sorry, I'm something jumping up on my computer. And the one thing that you're trying to think of, the last thing in the world you're thinking of, you've lost all concept of time. And now someone asks you, well, why didn't you stop in the middle of the movie to call? Now, some people might be able to do that, but a lot of people would not. And some people might, again, for the entrepreneur, you got to understand this is extremely difficult to do. And sometimes the ADHD brain, which many entrepreneurs seem to possess, which is, not all that uncommon, but it's not about having a distracted brain where they have trouble focusing, but rather a problem of over focus. So you might think, well, hold on a second. What do you mean over focus? They can't shut it off. Once they get started on a task, stopping that task is extremely difficult for them. This is one of the main reasons why I can't play video games, or I can't even really go into a casino. And you might be thinking, well, why is that? It's because I will play games long after they're fun. I will play and I will go to a casino where I don't even want to be there anymore, but I have a difficulty stopping. And it's really not so much about the gambling, although I don't have a good relationship with gambling, so I just don't do that anymore, right? But I can't stop until I get to a certain level of completion. And for many, many business owners, this relationship with time extends to where they are always late for everything. So this whole thing about time being a battle, listen, their watch has two settings: now and not now. That's the setting for many entrepreneurs: now and not now. And I'll explain. So when I say the setting is now and not now, oh, hey, Kevin, good to see you from Lakeland, Florida. Very good. Glad to have you. This is the interesting thing, is that when you're looking at now and not now, so let's say that I'm in the middle of working, my bride comes in and says, hey, we need to leave in 5 minutes. You know what I hear? We don't have to leave now. That means I might have time to return 2 more emails and start a project and maybe go check the backyard for the mulch. That's what I hear. I don't hear we have to leave in 5 minutes. I hear we don't have to leave now. Even to the point where I know I have to leave probably 5 minutes ago. I've got a 15-minute drive to the other side of town, and I will still find something to do going into, as I'm heading into, some other little task before I leave. That's just the way it works. That's just the way the many entrepreneurs struggle. They just struggle with that concept of time. So as you're thinking about this, one last thing I want you to think about is work is way beyond 9 to 5. And many people who work a job, will just never understand why we small business owners do what we do. And we might be working 80 hours a week, but at least we get to pick the 80, right? All right, so that's about time. So let's look at the next component it's not just about the money. It's more than money. It is, of course, money is important. That's why all of us go to work and we're doing something to generate money. But at some point, it becomes about more than the money. It became about the challenge. It became about the strategy. It became about the excitement of it. It's about creating something that is uniquely theirs. And that is something that just, unfortunately, many people who don't create a business for themselves just don't get. They don't understand that challenge. Even if it means they make less money, they don't understand it. And this is also true where it allows the business owner to use their creativity in ways they would never otherwise be able to if they worked a 9 to 5 job, because they have to follow procedures and protocols and all the things. And they're following someone else's vision. Now, that's great, but unfortunately, some business owners create stuff that isn't always good or healthy. In fact, what they create is chaos. And chaos addiction is a very real thing with business owners. And this is where they've got some culpability here, okay? So business owners, you don't get to be off the hook, say, well, I love creating chaos. Yeah, but you've got to recognize that chaos spills over into other parts of your life. And other people are impacted by the way you run things. And I will tell you, there's a lot of people, and this is an interesting conversation that I've been having with several people. In fact, it seems, I don't know what it is. It's interesting that when I sit on this side of the desk, it seems like everybody with the same group of problems comes to me all at one time. It's kind of funny. It is actually almost comical, because I'm like, oh, I literally had the same conversation 5 times in the last 4 weeks. And right now, the conversation seems to be about business partners with misaligned core values. Because what's happening is this business owner over here likes to run fast and loose, and this other business owner absolutely does not. And that's creating some real problems, because this business owner over here, or this business partner over here who likes to run fast and loose, loves to go out and spend money, runs to Lowe's and Home Depot and Menards, and they don't know what charges are being charged. They don't know what work is getting done, what work is being accomplished. Meetings are missed. Text messages are only half replied to. Okay. That chaos is going to spill over. And I'm telling you, it's going to drive some really good business partners away. So listen, you want to run that way? Great. But understand, you will always struggle. And that chaos addiction has a very real impact on the people around you. And I promise you, it is costing you a significant amount of dollars. So again, and it costs you a lot of time too. Like if you're going to do this, recognize that chaos addiction is a problem. And it's the adrenaline you get from having to be continual problem solving mode. And let's face it, it adds to your significance. You feel good, you feel important, you feel needed. I remember when I was in my property management business, and I would come into the office, and I would always come in early, and the staff is staffing, and the workers are working, and the field guys are doing their thing, and I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything to do. And they're like, quit messing with stuff. Go do something else. Go write a book or something, right? They had it. But it was my kibitzing, because I felt like I worked myself out of a job, which is the whole point. So that problem solving, that chaos addiction that you created is a very real thing. So when you're having this conversation with people who are not business owners, they don't understand it. They don't understand why you're creating it. But you also have to recognize that the chaos you're creating is also a problem up here that you have to deal with, because it will never change until you recognize why you're actually creating chaos. What's the need that you're fulfilling? So business owners do need to be aware of this. And if if you are creating chaos, it might not necessarily be intentional, but it is something that fulfills an unmet need, which again, I work with a lot of business owners and I have to work through this all the time with them because it's just a constant thing. They have to work on their psychology. It's part of the systems psychology and supplementation framework that I work with folks. Now, this last piece, so we talked about time is time, the concept of time, it's more than money. And the last one's responsibility. And responsibility, I will tell you, business owners specifically, and specifically small business owners, they are some of the most responsible people I have ever met. And this type of responsibility that I'm talking about is when people, they have hired people, they bring people into their organization, they are taking care of them. They are giving them a paycheck. And even if they don't have employees, now again, you have to understand, I'm going to show you a chart here for a second. It's real small, so I'll have to take myself down. And even then, it's still kind of smaller to read. But I got it from the U.S. Bureau. No, it wasn't Bureau of Labor Statistics. It was SBA. So I got this chart from this Small Business Association here in the United States. And it's interesting because out of the 37 million, roughly 37 million businesses in the United States, almost 30 million of them are solopreneurs. That means there's a great deal of personal responsibility that those 30 million have over their own families, not to mention the vendors that they employ and the other solopreneurs that they employ and other small businesses that they employ and the businesses that they shop at. So you got to recognize that they take on a great deal of responsibility, which leads to a great deal of stress. And especially when, like I said, when you have employees and now you're taking on their stress because they're what they owe to their families, and they rely on the business owner to make their payroll obligations. And they feel a deep sense of loyalty. So when a business owner is just sitting there ruminating and thinking, a lot of them are thinking of different ways they can make their businesses better, so they can offer better wages, so they can offer more services to their clients, so they can stay competitive and relevant in the marketplace, so they can offer vacations and 401k plans and health benefits and bonuses. Yes, contrary to what a lot of non-business owners think, business owners think of how they can pay their people more money all the time. All the time. Most of the good ones anyway. And I'm telling you, that is a very large majority of them, because the business owners want to treat their people well. They want to pay their people well. They want to pay them at least a living wage when they bring more talent to the table, right? I mean, upgrade your skills and I will find more things for you to do. Take more off my plate so I can pay you more. Absolutely, that's what small business owners do. And they're thinking about how to do that all the time. So again, this is something that non-business owners just don't think about. But small business owners, particularly in the US, like I said, are the highest employer base where, again, according to the SBA, and I'm going to show you this chart, look at this, 99%. So I'm going to take myself down so you can actually read this. Let's see here. You might have to zoom in on your screen. But on this left column there, those are the employees, just without employees alone. That's 30 million right there. It's 29.8 million. For 1 to 19, that's the second column over, that's 5.7 million. So those two added together are about 36 million, 35.5 million, give or take. That is like 98% of all of the businesses in the United States. Now, all small businesses are actually 36 million, and I think about 600,000 are over 500 employees. So there's a really small number of businesses out there that actually are much larger businesses than 500 employees, okay? So you got to keep in mind the amount of stress that brings to an owner. So again, when they're sitting there ruminating about all the different things that, that they, why can't you just stop and relax? And why can't you just not think about business, man? That is just not how they're wired. And that's a lot of responsibility that falls on a lot of people and a lot of families that they impact. So I'm going to put the fries in the bag on this on this video here. I don't want to make it super long. I want to be able to make it short enough where actually people will watch it so they can understand, like, hey, could you just take a few minutes and watch this video and just try to understand this is why I think the way I think as a small business owner. It's not because I'm overly obsessed. Yes, I'm unemployable. I probably would be absolutely miserable working a job. But you got to understand why I'd be miserable, because I would not be allowing myself to use the creative tools that I have honed over the number of years, or just something that I was burning inside of me, which for me, that was something that started back when I was 8 or 9 years old. I started I started growing my own plants. It was Mark's Plant Place, and I built this little stand and put it on a wheelbarrow and wheeled it up to the top of my driveway, and like 4 cars all day drove by. Not one person bought any of my plants. I had a very big lead gen problem, but that infected me all throughout my life. And even into the Marine Corps, which the Marine Corps was very good to me, and I had an awesome tour and a great job, and loved it. I was part of a flight crew at C-130. Definitely would have stayed in had I not always had an entrepreneurial bent. I was just, it was infectious. I could not get away from that. And even when I was working corporate jobs and I proved that I was bringing lots of value, there was just no way I could get away from that. So again, it's not about, why don't you just get a job? Yeah, you know what? I might have more money. I might have more free time. It's not about that. It's about the strategy. It's about what I want. It's the burning desire that just never goes away. So hopefully this was helpful for you. And but you know what? You as a small business owner, you do have some culpability. So if you would like to be part of a community that gets you, that gets it, and you want to improve on your systems, on your psychology, and how to incorporate those things and actually walk you through. It's not just a course, it's a whole framework. It's an implementation lab, which basically brings you through all these different aspects. There's a link right down below. You can see it. Here it comes, timewealthy.vip. There's some really affordable plans in there if you'd like to be part of that. Check it out, and we will see you there. For those of you who would like a video on the 3 actions to generate leads this week, that was one I just posted yesterday. I will see if I can put a link to that in this video. YouTube is still a bit of a mystery for me, and it keeps changing things, and I am doing my best. So if you don't see a link, just go back and find it. It looks just like this. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you next time in the boardroom. Take good care.